Now, if you live in a rural area, you'll be very familiar with the frustration of a not spot. For the uninitiated, though, it's when your mobile phone simply can't get a signal. Now the government wants to tackle the problem with a national roaming scheme so customers can switch temporarily to other providers. Cordelia Lynch reports.
We've come to rely on mobile phones, but we still can't rely on getting signal. The government says it's committed to getting operators to start sharing networks with their rivals. The hope is that it will improve so-called partial not spots, where there is coverage from some but not all providers. We're in Staffordshire, experiencing plenty of patchy coverage. To give you an example of that, on this O2 phone, I've got just 2 bars, and yet on Vodafone, it's full signal. On the road, there is no right to roam. Just 400 yards up the road, there is another network's mast, and the idea behind today's proposal is that when my signal's bad, I can simply jump on to that other network's mast and make and receive calls more easily. Do you think the government should be doing more to make it easier for people in rural areas to connect?
Definitely, yeah. When I go to Morton Marsh, it's really bad round there.
And does it affect your work?
Yes, the last couple of days I've had it really bad because I use my phone for business all the time.
If ours loses the signal, then we should be automatically put over to something else, which is, like you say, what happens when we go abroad.
20% of the country is struggling to make calls, including the Prime Minister, who complained when he couldn't reach Westminster while on holiday in Cornwall. His EU visitors can automatically switch to a new provider, but experts aren't convinced that would work for domestic users.
We think consumer action, above all, is what will change the problem of coverage. Forcing networks to advertise to consumers based on how their network is performing, rather than, say, the availability of devices or cost, is the only effective way for this to really work. The market needs to regulate itself.
In a leaked internal letter, the Home Secretary, Theresa May, says it could have a negative impact on law enforcement and protecting the public from terrorism. Data expert Simon Steggles says it is a valid concern.
There's many different aspects of it. The biggest one that jumps out to me immediately would be the additional workload for the law enforcement agencies or intelligence agencies. Instead of tracking a person on a single network, they would then have to go through all the different networks in case they move from one to another.
And is there a cost associated with that?
Yeah, of course. If you're working on one single network, there's a cost. If you're working on 5 networks, that's going to go up by a multiple of 5.
Government talks with mobile phone companies will continue until the end of the month, but with national security now entering the debate, a voluntary solution seems even less likely. Cordelia Lynch, Channel 4 News, Staffordshire.